Welcome back again, Power App enthusiasts, to the Power App tutorial channel. I hope you guys have been enjoying the series so far and look forward to learning more about using Power Up Challenge to solve our 2024 walkthrough. Today, we are continuing with the series with the creation of our first business process flow for our model-driven app. We're going to be using the animal table for that purpose. But before we continue, I hope you're subscribe to the channel. If you're not, please make sure you hit that subscription button and add that notification bell so you can stay updated when we come up with new videos. And don't forget to give the video a thumbs up if you learned something new. All right, let's move on with the video. All right, so as you can see, we're back in our animal shelter solution, and we still have 11 packages in total. And today, like I said, we're creating a business process flow. But why create a business process flow? Well, the short answer is you create a business process flow to guide and tailor the experiences of the people using your application. Imagine a scenario where you have a new employee hired to a team and they're using your application. Well, the other team members, probably you've taught them in a video on how to use the application, but you don't want to be teaching every new member how to use the application every time they come in. So the easiest way to get around this, and for other reasons, but let's just use this hypothetical scenario. The easiest way to get around this is to create a business process flow. A business process flow, let me show you the difference. So if you go to your application and open your model-driven app, just press play if you use the three dots. By the time it opens if you're on animal info and you click on new, the business a form without a business process flow does not have like grid lines up top. But if you I have another solution here that uses the same animal table. It's called my animal management solution. It's a different solution. If you open the model driven app and hit play, it looks exactly like the other model driven app, but on this one, when you click on new, it has grid lines. So like I said, you have a new employee and they come in and they see this form here and they're like, am I supposed to fill animal first before I fill shelter information or adoption information, or can I fill shelter information first before adoption? And they're like confused. Where is microchip ID or Well, guess what? All you gotta do is tell them, oh, yeah, follow the business process flow. Make sure that you fill the form. So he will come here, he or she will come in here and put in a name. So let's say Shelly is gonna be the name, and the type is gonna be a cat, and then they can pick a date of birth. I'm gonna pick 2023. I say June 7th. And then a sex, let's say female. And once they are done filling this, they can just hit save. And once you hit save, you can see the form gets filled along. And then you have like visual indicators up top that lets you know, okay, you filled one part of the form, you can move on to the next stage. And if you click on next stage, it takes you. So you can literally take them through a guided tour of how to fill the form without having to use your form. And you can set rules like, okay, they can't fill the foster table form without, some rules being attended to when they're filling the animal data shelter. And you can also hide and, show columns, a whole bunch of stuff when you're doing a business process flow. So we're going to be building this business process flow today. I hope you guys are excited. Let's get on with business building our business process flow. And we're going to be building it in this our solution. Like I said, it's created in a different solution, but we're going to move it to our solution. All right, let's just get right into it. I'll close this and then we'll go to our animal shelter solution and start this business process flow. Okay, so we're back in my animal shelter demo solution. And this is where we're going to be creating our business process flow. And it's as easy as clicking on new, go to on automation, and then we're going to the one that says process, pick the second one that says business process flow, and name your business process flow. I named it animal info process, and it will give you ASD, animal info process. And then we're going to pick our animal table. We're looking for animal info table. And then click create to start the creation of our business process flow. As you can see, you need a table to create a business process flow. If you don't have a table, you can't create a business process flow. So it's one of the requirements, prerequisites for creating a business process flow, is that you actually have a table to attach it to. All right, so we are in the business process flow deck. And as you can see, we have a whole bunch of things here. And I'm going to leave a link in the description that takes you to Microsoft so you can actually read more and learn more about business process flows. This is not a video about the comprehensive part of business process flow. We are just trying to create our app and move on. So we're going to be creating a medium business process flow. I did want to give a brief description of this though. So we have stages on the left, and we're going to be adding to the stages using the components on the right. And then we can add conditions and data steps and workflows and actions. All that are going to be part of the video. But we do have to come up with our own rules, right? So if you want to come up with business process flow, you have to come up with rules. I'm going to first start with creating a description for my business process flow. So my business process flow is designed to streamline the data entry of animal shelter. Okay, looks good. Let's save this first. Okay, so it's saved and validated successfully. That means my business process flow currently lives in my shelter solution. I want to go back to the requirements of the family. So the arrows are pointing and saying, okay, it goes from shelter to foster home to foster family in that order. We can use that to come up with two rules. And the two rules I came up with are, so as long as there are no vet checks, so if the animal has no future vet checks, then the animal can be fostered. That's the first rule that I came up with. The second rule is before an animal can be accepted or taken to a foster family home, the animal has to have lived in a foster home. Those are the two rules. And we can add more rules, but I think those two rules are enough for us to create our business process flow. So let's just go ahead and jump into creating our rules for our business process flow. All right, see you back in our solution. All right, so we're back in our solution and we are in our business process flow. And I'm just going to jump right into it. So the first stage we have is called the animal info stage. I'm going to rename this animal details, and then under category, I'm going to put identify. And one thing about business process flows, make sure you're always hitting the apply when you make changes. All right, that looks good. I'm going to go back to components and then hit this tag right here. And for the first data step, we're going to change that data step to, so go to the, under the field name, look for the name. And as you can see, it also changes the step name once you find the field name. So the first thing we're changing is the name. And for the name, we're going to make it a required field. That's another thing about business process flows and why I didn't really set business required when we were creating the columns, because I knew we were going to probably create a business process flow. But you can add required to the data step for adding a name. And then, like I said, always hit apply. So that's our first step. We're going to add a new step. And to add a new step, just go to the composition and drag and drop, put it underneath the rectangle to drag to a new step. And that's how you add a new step. And this new step is going to be the type field. So just click the data field and look for type, animal type. Awesome. This is also going to be a required field. So make sure you click required and hit apply. So now we have two. You can hide this by just clicking close the minimap. Uh, let's see, we have two things added to our stages. Let's add two more stages. We're going to add one more data step. This data step is going to be the date of birth. This is not going to be a required field. And then I'm going to add one more stage, which is going to be the sex of the animal. And this is not going to be a required field. Hit apply. All right, so now that we've completed our first stage, and you can add more data steps, but I think this is enough to give me enough info for my animal. Now I need info for shelter details, so I'm just going to drag stage from the components field and put it right next to the up straight up rectangle to add a new stage. And we're going to name this new stage shelter details. It's going to be the name. Under category pick, I picked research. So I pick research and then hit apply. And then for the stages, we're going to add 3 stages to the animal shelter. The first stage is going to be go to data step. So once you click on data step, we're looking for initial shelter. And this is going to be mandatory field. Remember to click apply. Go back again. Drag another step to this. And this time around, we are adding the shelter status. This is definitely mandatory. So click on required and then apply. Same thing like before, drag another data step to the bottom. And this new data step is going to be date of arrival. And then hit apply. All right, so this should be enough for our animal info table. I really don't want to add. You can add some more stages, but this is enough for me information for me to know about an animal coming into a shelter. So I'm going to add one more stage. And I'm going to call this new stage vet details. All right, and we're going to use approval for this stage. And like before, it's still animal data, hit apply. For the first stage, for the vet details, we are trying to get the medical condition. So you're making sure animal has the right medical condition. Make this a required field. Hit apply. Let's drag another data stage. You know what? Let's move this to the left. Okay, can move that yet. Medical conditions. So after medical conditions, add another data step, and then this time around, pick medical treatments. Make it another required field. Make sure you hit apply. Grab one more data step. Put it under there, and this time around, pick next vet dates. Pick next vet first. Don't make it a required field, so just pick next first, and then add one more stage and pick next vet date. So add one more stage, pick animal next first date. Don't make it required, and hit apply. Okay, and so yeah, that looks good. So now we have animal details, shelter details, and then vet details. And then based on this, we're going to add one more stage. Or you know what? Before we continue with that, let's delete that stage. And while we have this, let's save. Okay, so we've been doing all this and we haven't saved. So please save. Okay, so now that it has successfully saved, before we add another stage, remember our flow has some rules. So the rules is going to be we're checking vets, that the vet conditions have been met before they can be taken to a foster care. Because the next stage is going to be a foster care. But we have to check some conditions. So I'm going to add a condition. Since we already have the info we need to check, which is coming from the animal vet details, I'm going to check that info here. So the first info we're checking is if the animal has, so pick for the field, pick animal next vet date, which we already selected in the other stage. And you're looking for does not contain data. So we're checking if the next vet date does not contain data. Hit apply. And I'm going to change this condition name to check vet date. Yep, that looks good. So hit apply. So what we're doing is we're checking if the vet date is not empty. If it's not empty, go to does not contain data. If it does not contain data, we're going to the next stage, and the next stage is going to be foster family stage. So add stage, put it in the straight up rectangle, and we're going to name this new stage foster details, and under category put develop, and then click apply. And then for the data steps, for the first data step, we are grabbing the foster claimer. So this is going to be the foster claimer, and make this a required field. And then for the next data step, so just drag data step and drag it to the bottom again, just like we've been doing. For this time, we're picking the date of foster. And then click apply for the data foster. This is not a required field. All right, at this point, I'm gonna hit save again. And we are back, and it saved and validated. Save validation successful, which is nice. Let's move on to the next thing we're gonna check. So we've checked the first one. We said if the vet date is not empty, animal foster. The next thing we're gonna check is I'm gonna rename this check foster date. Check foster date. And for the foster date, since we already put the foster date in the last stage, now here's how the conditions work. The conditions must be used in the last stage for you to be able to use them. So since we've already used foster in our animal info, we are gonna check animal data foster. We are making sure this time around that it actually contains data, not that it does not. We want to make sure that it contains data. And then click apply. And then for the stage, drag another stage here. And this new stage is going to be called adoption details. And under category, choose close. And then hit apply. And then for the data step, the first data step we're grabbing is going to be the adopter. This is going to be a required field, so hit required and apply. Then drag another data step to the bottom of the adopter. This is going to be the date of adoption. This one is not going to be a required field, so just hit apply. Then add another data step called forever family details. So that's going to be our last data step. I want to add the forever family story to it. It's not a required field, but I'm just going to add it to there. And now we should be done. So hit save one more time with the creation of our business process flow. See how easy that was to create. And then once you hit create, make sure you hit activate. Now this will check if your business process flow is actually correct. Awesome. So if you're done validating, you should see it should say the deactivate if it validated successfully. Now I've seen sometimes where you hit um, activate and you might have to reset your screen. It doesn't matter, just reset the screen and make sure you hit validate on the turns to deactivate. And that's how you know that your business process flow is actually running. Once you're done with that, you're actually done with the business process flow. You can close this. And once you close this, it will say currently creating, just hit done and give it a few seconds and your business process flow should populate. As you can see, you just added one more. If you go to the tab that says business process flow, you should see a new business process flow running. Status should be on. And then if you open your model driven app at this point, when you open it up, let's go, it's gonna go straight to play. It's probably best if you open it here. So open it here first and then hit publish. And then hit play. All right, so we're in, and then this time around, just like before, but when you hit new, as you can see, you can have your business process flow running inside your form. And this is how you create a business process flow. I'm glad you guys learned something new. Hope you can join me in the next video. In our next video, you know what, let me show you the demo of what we're going to build in the next video. So in our next solution, we're going to be creating a Power Page, and we're going to be adding it to our model-driven app. Now, the Power Page lives inside our model-driven app when we are creating it. Also, it's going to be a responsive app. So, like if it's on a phone, it will have a different tab. If it's on a tablet, it will have different tabs. So, it's going to be a responsive app. And that's what we're going to build in our next and we're going to add it to our model-driven app. So I hope you guys are excited for that. We're adding a new tab to our model-driven app, and it's going to be a Canvas app that lives inside our model-driven app. But it's going to be a responsive Canvas app. All right, so like I said, I hope you guys are excited for more learning on Power Apps. A whole bunch of stuff we just did a business process flow, and the next one is going to be creating a Power Page inside our model-driven app. So we're going to add a Power Page inside here. All right, see you in the next video. Thank you again. Goodbye.